Today, we will call our class, Where is the Garden of Eden? We move today to the study of Noah's second commandment, adultery. It is presented as it presented in the story of the Garden of Eden. Adultery is presented in the story of Garden of Eden. Although the story is written in our book as chapter 2 to 4 separate chapters, in a Torah scroll, it is written as a continuation of chapter 1, complementing the story of the creation of Adam on the sixth day. So it just continues what chapter 1 says, exactly where it ends. And it is well known, the story of Eden tells us how Adam and Eve received the knowledge of what? Good and evil. Usually in a book it says, in your book it says good and bad. They miss the point. It's the fruit of good, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The vocabulary is very important here. We know that the perception of good and evil, we already said, it's always from the perspective of Hashem, Yud-Vav-Kei, the merciful one. Evil, we already said, it's whatever the merciful attribute hates. If she is mercy, you do the opposite, you are evil. You're not just bad, you are evil. In Hashem's eyes, in the whole story, in the Bible, almost exclusively, when you see the word evil, a person is evil is in Hashem's eyes, not in Elohim's eyes. Let's recall that at the end of the sixth day, our day, Elohim will pass a comprehensive judgment on everything that he has done, including Adam, judging whether or not he has become very good. If Adam is deemed very good in Elohim's eyes, Elohim will enter the Sabbath along with Adam and the entire universe. On the other hand, if Adam has failed to be very good in Elohim's eyes, or is deemed very bad in Elohim's eyes, Elohim will terminate, finish our world to nothingness, as he has done to many other universes before, as Rashi says. Now, but to be very good in Elohim's eyes, obviously, Adam would have to abide by his laws, and then he will call righteous. Let's pay attention to the nomenclature. In Elohim's eyes, you are righteous or sinner. If Adam violates Elohim's law, he is a sinner, not evil. But as it is shown in the text, at the end of the sixth day, Adam would also be deemed or assessed by Hashem from her side, from the Sabbath. Now, if Adam meets her expectation, he is very good in her eyes. But if he fails, if he has committed the opposite of what she is all about, if he's indifferent to misery of others, is merciless and uncompassionate and cruel, he is called evil in Hashem's eyes. Like the king of Israel, they were evil because they took advantage of the poor and the widows. So how did the perception of YHVH enter Adam's heart and mind? I want to show you the slide that I missed last time. I hope you will see it. You see it here?
Yes.
Yes. You see the red part is a sixth day. The blue part is a Sabbath. Then horizontal line, they are separated sixth day from the Sabbath. And you see the acronym YHVH entering from the Sabbath to the Friday. As YHVH enter the Sabbath, the hour day, the red part, she observed very good. See, Adam is there, is born on the sixth day. he has to become very good in both eyes, in the eyes of Elohim on one side, and YHVH in her side. If evil is big, he can cut the line, and she can cut the two attributes to two parts. We said last time. So here is show you the text, how in the text YHVH is an acronym entering the Friday from the Sabbath, and she is judging Adam from her side, Elohim judging Adam from his side. Now let's go back to the story. We want to understand how, what's all about, how the perception of YHVH enter Adam's heart. It's a very important question. Let's see, in Genesis chapter 1, that we just finished, it is written that Elohim said, let us make Adam in our form and our image, speaking in plural. Yet, in the next verse, it says explicitly that Elohim created Adam in his image alone. How could it be? So in the planning stage, Elohim spoke in plural in the name of Hashem and Elohim together. Whereas when Elohim made Adam on the ground, when he finally made him, he made him in his image only. And it would be up to Adam to accept Hashem into his heart and in his own discretion and free will. Let's repeat the story in full so we could understand what we are talking about. When Elohim planned to create Adam, he invited the attribute of mercy, I'll repeat the story that you already know, the Yudeh of K, to join him in the heavenly court. You saw that in the text there. Yudeh entered our world in the sixth day, as shown in the text, and observed the Elohim world. From the blue, she looked down to the red there. She observed it. Observe is always associated with YHVH. In Abraham, which was observed Sodom. Observed is a judging in her eye. Like a bride entering a groom home. Here she is like a bride entering the groom home for the first time, assessing whether or not she would feel comfortable in Elohim world, in the red part. She said to him, so to speak, your word, Elohim, is beautiful and smart, full of your wisdom and justice. But how could I rule it when I see no one here who can understand my language, who knows what good and evil are? Cannot separate. He doesn't know what good and what evil is. The spider knows what evil is. The snake, the serpent would know. No one. Elohim said to her, so to speak, let us make Adam in our form and our image, and our child Adam would know me, but in his heart I would carve out a room for you to dwell, if he let you in. Elohim would not make Adam merciful by nature, as a reflex, since mercy is none of his Elohim features. But he would make us capable of accepting her in our own free will and discretion. So Hashem obviously agreed, YHVH agreed, the attribute of mercy agreed to that. And as you will soon see in a verse, the two attributes held wing against wing, like two cherubim love, and flew over the 6 days, entire 6 days backward, consolidating them by the oneness and love. You will see it in a verse. It was not unlike a groom. What have been consolidated by the love. It's like a groom house that gets a new shape and light by the authority and the charm of the new bride entering it. So when she enters it, it's consolidated. That's the song of the Levite. That's exactly the song of the Levite in the temple they sang on Friday. expressing that idea, consolidated the world. You Hashem, consolidated today your world. Hence, as the text says, at the planning stage, Elohim spoke in plural, saying, let us. Whereas when making Adam, Elohim made him in his image only, and expecting Adam to fill the gap and accept Hashem into his heart on his own discretion. Well, hearing that, it seems that there is a problem here. It seems that to fill the gap and accept Hashem is a discretion. So it looked like a person may abide by Elohim law, never rape, never kill, never steal, never bother anyone, and yet he ignores Hashem's expectation of him altogether. Such a person lives in ordinary life, never violate any law, yet he is oblivious to suffering in his own community. He may never contribute any charity above bare minimum. He may never volunteer to help the needy or contribute to welfare. He may buy diamond ring, ignoring the abused children in Africa who dug it. He may ignore the suffering of animals by human hand. He may never support any human right. Or worse, such a person may even join evil people to commit mass murder in the name of the state, claiming he's a good citizen. And that person may claim to Hashem, to Elohim, when time comes, when he stand up in heavenly court, he would say, I have abided by your law, Elohim, as you have made me in the chapter 1. I am righteous. It says in chapter 1, all I need to do is to abide by your laws. Mercy is discretional. Well, Elohim would say to him then, listen, guy, sorry, you quote me chapter 1, but you should have read also chapter 2, the story of Eden, where it explains how the perception of good and evil has entered every person's heart. Your claim is dismissed. So the story of Eden came as a supplement to chapter 1 to show that despite the fact that Elohim made Adam in his image only, it was the primordial sin of Eden that brought the perception of good and evil into the heart of each person at birth, with no exception, so that no one may claim that mercy, compassion, and forgiveness are discretional. So this is the primordial sin. By eating the fruit, they understand good and evil. And when they came down to live on earth, it's now inside each one of us. Let us read now the story in detail in Eden to understand exactly how it happened. Let's see the introduction to the story of Eden. You can open up the Bible, but I can read it for you. The introduction of the story of Eden, chapter 2, verse 4 says, this, I will read it for you, and pay attention to every word. This is a history of heavens and earth when they were recreated on the day that Hashem Elohim, two attributes together, on the day that Hashem Elohim made earth and heavens in the opposite direction. Chapter 1 is heaven and earth. Here it says earth and heaven. Again, this is a history of heaven and earth, like chapter 1, when they were recreated on a day that Hashem Elohim made earth and heavens, the opposite direction. The verse continues the story of creating Adam on the 6th day. It says that the two attributes Hashem, Yud-Heh-Vav-Keh and Elokim, recreated the earth and heaven in the opposite direction to chapter 1. What does it mean? Let's pay attention to the name first. While in chapter 1, the attributes appear each one by itself, Elokim appears alone 32 times, and Hashem Yud-Heh-Vav-Keh appear once at the end of this chapter. I just show it to you. There's a hidden acronym at the junction between the 6th and the 7th day. So Elokim appear alone by itself 32 times. Elokim only, Hashem Yud-Heh-Vav-Keh only once as a hidden, shy, modest acronym. You need to be learned to see it. Here in the story of Eden, suddenly, the attributes appear the first time ever together and in the open, and together like Hashem Elokim. They write in the text, the full name, side by side. They name close to each other, touching each other, as they would never appear again throughout the Torah. You know, this expression, Hashem Elokim, is unique to the story of Eden. It would never show again in the Torah. They appear in this fashion, side by side, 20 times in the story of Eden. Let's note that the attribute would later appear only as Hashem alone or Elokim alone separately. As it is said, for instance, in the Ten Commandments, I am Hashem, your Elokim. The word your separated. The word is, so they never appear glued together, but there's always some word in between them. And that's the truth for the entire Torah. But here in Eden, they appear together only this fashion, side by side, flying together in love, so to speak. Now the verse says that Hashem Elokim in oneness recreated earth and heavens in a reverse direction to chapter 1. How could it be? It is as if they flew over the 6th day backward, from the 6th day to the 5th, to the 4th, to the 3rd, back to the beginning, consolidating the world by their oneness. Then it says that Hashem Elokim formed the Garden of Eden. Here we come to the Garden of Eden. On what day was it? On what day was Garden of Eden formed? The verse actually stipulated exactly, precisely. You cannot miss it. It says, you know when the Garden of Eden was formed? When there was no shrub on the field yet on earth. And the grass of the field has not yet grown, no shrub, no grass. For Hashem Elokim has not yet showered rain on earth. There was not even rain. And there was no Adam to till the ground. Only myths went up from the ground and watered the entire face of the world. God. The verse says that the Garden of Eden was formed on a day when there was no shrub, no grass, not even rain, no animal, no Adam. And just myths coming from the ground and watering the dry. So what day could it be? What day there was no grass, no rain, no shrub, no tree, nothing on earth. So about dry land. So the Talmud says, Talmud give you the answer. About 2,000 years ago, it said, it was the 3rd day before Elokim seeded any life on the dry land. So there was a pause before Elokim seeded any life, the attribute now hovering over the 3rd day, so to speak. Thus, the attribute began their flight backward on the 6th day, prior to the making Adam. You know, for God, going backward is nothing. It's like you do rewind. God is beyond time, beyond anything. For him, going backward and forward is nothing. So the attribute began the flight backward, so to speak, on the 6th day, prior to making Adam. And when they reached the 3rd day, They formed the Garden of Eden there. Now, how is it possible? The key to understand this is the word formed as opposed to create. You don't pay attention to it, but Hasidut pay very much attention to it. There is a difference between to create, to form, and to make. What's the difference? For instance, when I build a house, I would first create it on my mind. I would decide in my mind what sort of house it should be, what the style it be, what should I use it for? Is it commercial, private, how many beds, how many rooms? Then I would contact an architect who would form my house on a blueprint, describing it on a paper or the computer as you wish, in detail. So to create is to first think about it in your mind, then you form it on the paper, on the computer, as a virtual house. And then, only then, after you've done that, you contract a builder who will make the house, put it on the real ground. Thus, there is a word of creating, called beria in Hebrew, word of forming, yetzira, word of making, asina. These are the three stages necessary for any human endeavor. Always we go through these stages for any activity. As it turned out, the entire story of Eden is written as in the word of forming. There is no creation there, there is no making there. It's what God formed. Hence, it was a virtual garden, like a blueprint or computer, if you wish, still hovering over Mount Moriah today, as Rabbeinu Bachya says. So while there was no grass, no shrub, and no tree on real earth, the Garden of Eden has already the following tree in it. I mean, it was full of trees inside the garden. As it says, Hashem Elokim caused to sprout from the ground every tree that was pleasing to the sight and good for food. Also the tree of life in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Obviously, it was a virtual garden full of beautiful virtual trees and virtual animals, as the text would later say. Then, in this virtual garden, on the third day, Hashem Elokim also formed the virtual Adam, as it says. And Hashem Elokim in oneness, Hashem Elokim formed Adam from the ground, and he blew his spirit in oneness. Hashem Elokim together, but he says his spirit, because they appear along in oneness, into Adam's nostril, and Adam became a living soul. Then Hashem Elokim placed the form Adam into the form Eden to till it and to preserve it. Why the garden? What's the whole idea? In the flight over the 6 days, back to the beginning, holding each other wing in mutual love, if you wish, the attribute arrived at day 3, before seeding any life on earth. Here, Hashem, Yud-Vav-Kei, the merciful attribute, turned to Elokim and said, so to speak, why won't we spare our child Adam the agony of living in your world, Elokim? It is a beautiful world indeed, full of your wisdom and your justice, yet it is also full of misery and sorrow and death, which I want to spare him. Why won't you be open for Adam an alternative path, the Garden of Eden, bereft of any sorrow and death, from where he would arrive directly to the Sabbath without ever being exposed to the angel of death on earth? And she continued, and to become very good in your eye, Elohim, let us give him just one simple commandment. I know that your attribute of justice, judgment, you need to judge Adam. So let's give him this one simple commandment. like, do not eat from this particular good tree, which is actually a tantamount to idolatry, because if you violate it, you violate idolatry by disobeying the king. If Adam complies, he wins your trial, and he would enter the Sabbath with you from the Garden of Eden. So Elohim said to her, so to speak, but what about you? If Adam never lives on earth, on real earth, never been exposed to sorrow and death, how would he never comprehend you, your love, your mercy, your compassion, and forgiveness? This is shown only on the background of my word. In that case, he would never know your full glory. Hashem, Yud-K answer to him, so to speak. I don't mind. She speaks like a loving mother. I don't mind giving up my glory in his eyes, as long as I have spared him the agony of living in your world. All I would ask from Adam in Eden is to feel my holiness, my joy and my love to him. If he feels that, he would be very good in my eyes. So in Eden, Adam will have to abide by just one commandment, idolatry, which is talking about idolatry, do not eat from the fruit. And from Hashem's perspective, she doesn't care if he doesn't appreciate her glory of mercy, because in Eden there is no need for mercy, compassion, and God. So Adam would never feel it, never understand it in Eden, but she doesn't mind. As long as he accepts her joy and love, that's all a loving mother would like to do. Elohim said to her then, but if Adam fails, we will place him back on earth on the 6th day, as I have originally planned, and he would have to withstand our trial from real earth, fully aware of my power and your glory. Hashem agreed, so to speak, and the two attributes form the Garden of Eden, form Adam, and place Adam inside to kill it and keep it, hoping he would withstand a simple trial and enter the Sabbath directly from there. Now, as we all know, Adam and Eve failed their trial in Eden, ate from the forbidden tree of knowledge, good and evil, became of YHVH value of good and evil, and they were driven out of Eden to live on earth. And ever since then, on real earth, no person may claim that he is unaware of Hashem values. He is unaware of mercy, compassion, and forgiveness. No person can claim that he is made only in Elohim eyes. He is like an animal, as it says in chapter 1. For all people now carry the awareness of good and evil embedded in the soul. They enter our soul when we were in Garden of Eden. Now let me add one more thing, a new thing here. But while they were living in Eden, under the love of Hashem Elohim, the two cherub, Moses put them as two children, as two cherub, looking, boy and a girl looking at each other with love, wing touching wing. So, but in Eden, while they were living under such reign, kingship of Hashem Elohim in love, Adam and Eve received, by eating the fruit, another aspect of Hashem's holiness, and that is the ability to distinguish between sexual promiscuity and marriage, adultery versus pure family life. That aspect that got into their soul when they ate the fruit, if you remember, they covered the nakedness. So they became aware of nakedness, became of the possibility of sexual promiscuity, the shame of adultery. So it is in Eden, therefore, that Adam and Eve received the prohibition against adultery, as you will see in the text, as we learn the story in detail. And adultery should be kept in Eden as a second commandment beside idolatry until they arrive at the Sabbath. And on that we will learn and continue learning next week, God willing.